PGRI Semarang memang menyenangkan. Teknik Mesin Universitas PGRI Semarang, action to move the world.
Hai guys, kami dari tim KBM Informatika Universitas PGRI Semarang. Jadi udah pada tahu belum KBM itu apa? KBM itu adalah kompetisi bisnis mahasiswa Indonesia.
Jadi ceritanya, kita dapat hibah dari Kemenristek-Dikti di tahun ini sebesar 14 juta rupiah di bawah bimbingan Ibu Mega Novita, salah satu dosen di Prodi Informatika Universitas PGRI Semarang.
Jadi di informatika kita akan diajarkan untuk membuat aplikasi berbasis website dan Android. Nah, selain itu kita juga akan diajarkan animasi dan juga desain grafis.
Selain itu, di sini kita juga diberi wadah sebuah informasi seputar sertifikasi di lingkup kampus maupun luar kampus yang diadakan oleh BNSP yang berkaitan tentang pembuatan website maupun Android.
Yuk gabung di Informatika Universitas PGRI Semarang. Ditunggu ya!
Di arsitektur UBIS, kita diajarkan bagaimana mendesain dan merancang sebuah bangunan. Seperti halnya bangunan sederhana untuk rumah tinggal, bangunan pabrik, bangunan multimasa, igreja building, dan yang terakhir bangunan make use.
Di arsitektur UBIS kita akan diajarkan bagaimana cara mendesain dari gambar manual hingga gambar digital. Untuk gambar digital sendiri, kita akan belajar menggunakan aplikasi AutoCAD, SketchUp, Revit, dan Lumion.
Di arsitektur UGRIS kita diajarkan untuk merancang suatu bangunan yang berkonsep green building atau ramah lingkungan dan hemat energi.
Mari bergabung bersama kami di Arsitektur Universitas PGRI Semarang, Green Building for Better Living.
Salam kolaborasi karya, salam Elektro Jaya. Saya Anggun Haryanti, mahasiswa Teknik Elektro dari Universitas PGRI Semarang. Teknik Elektro Universitas PGRI Semarang tergolong baru. Namun meskipun tergolong baru, belajar di sini sangat mendapatkan fasilitas yang baik serta didampingi dosen pengampu yang berkompeten.
Selain itu, kami juga pernah mengikuti lomba kontes robot regional meliputi Jawa maupun secara nasional.
Mari bergabung bersama kami di Teknik Elektro Universitas PGRI Semarang. Salam kolaborasi karya, salam Elektro Jaya. Saya Anggun Desiana Sofa, mahasiswa Teknologi Pangan Universitas PGRI Semarang. Selama saya kuliah di Teknologi Pangan Universitas PGRI Semarang, saya banyak belajar hal baru. Saya dapat menginovasi produk yang belum ada di masyarakat, seperti ada kopi kulit pisang kepok, ada kopi beras analog, dan tepung gembili. Bergabung dengan kami di Teknologi Pangan Universitas PGRI Semarang.
Fakultas Teknik dan Informatika unggul dan berjati diri.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the international webinar series held by Faculty of Engineering and Informatics, Universitas PGRI Semarang, Indonesia.
For your information, this webinar series has been held for 4 times, in total 6 times. I will show you the series that we have arranged so far. The series number 1, entitled Advancement in AI Revolutionizes Industry and Accelerates Research, has been held on 10 August 2020. Series number 2, entitled Cooling Technology, held on 17 August 2020. Series number 3, entitled Electrospinning, Nanomaterial and the Oil Industry, held on 18 August 2020. And the series number 4, which just held yesterday, entitled Accreditation for Technologies and Engineers in the New Normal Era. And today, 26 August 2020, entitled Green Building in New Normal Life. And we still have one more series, series number 6, the final session. It entitles Multimedia Interactive System, held on 31st August 2020. And let me introduce myself. My name is Mega Novita. I will be your moderator as of today's webinar. I am an assistant professor in the Faculty of Engineering and Informatics. I'm also the head of Science and Technology Research Center of Lembaga Penelitian dan Pengabdian kepada Masyarakat, we called as LPPM Universitas PGRI Semarang. We really appreciate everyone involved in this webinar series, especially Rektor of Universitas PGRI Semarang, Bapak Associate Profesor Muhdi, Dean Faculty of Engineering and Informatics Universitas PGRI Semarang, Bapak Associate Profesor Slamet Supriyadi, Head of Lembaga Penelitian dan Pengabdian kepada Masyarakat LPPM Universitas PGRI Semarang, Bapak Associate Profesor Senowar Sito. All the guest speakers who have given their excellent talks since session 1 till the final session, who came from University Technology Malaysia and University Technology Mara, Selangor, Malaysia. All participants who has attending continuously from series number 1, 2, 3, 4, or those who just attending today, thank you very much for always supporting us. Thank you very much for your cooperation so that this international webinar can be held and run smoothly. Hopefully, the final session of this webinar series, which will be held next week, will also run smoothly. Therefore, we also invite you all to the series number 6, entitled Multimedia Interactive System, on Monday, 31st August 2020 at 1 p.m. via Zoom or YouTube. The speakers are Professor Ali Sulamat from Malaysia Japan International Institute of Technology, MJIIT, University Technology Malaysia, and Bapak Assistant Professor Febrian Murti Dewanto from Department of Informatics Universitas PGRI Semarang. Before we start, I will explain the rule that needs to be followed by all of the participants. First, all of the participants must name themselves following the format participant name _ institution name. For example, Mega Novita _ Upgris. Second, participants are advised to mute their microphone to reduce the background noise, but basically the host will automatically mute them. 3, we recommend you to turn on your camera because in the end we will have the photo session. 4th, this webinar will run about 2 hours. First, the speaker will have 40 minutes to share each of their presentation and then followed by the parallel Q&A session. 5, in the Q&A session, participants can ask either by live chat or directly. You can use the raise hand option. You can also deliver the questions in both English or Bahasa, but just keep it simple. At last but not the least, we will distribute the attendance form, which will be used to generate the e-certificate during the Q&A session. Therefore, we request your cooperation to focus on the speakers while they are giving their talk. Next, Alhamdulillah, we already have the speakers join in this Zoom room. They are Dr. Doris Toeche, a senior lecturer from Faculty of Built Environment and Surveying, University Technology Malaysia, UTM, and Assistant Professor Bayu Ariwibawa, the head of Department of Architecture, Faculty of Engineering and Informatics, Universitas PGRI Semarang. So let me read their curriculum vitae. As for Dr. Doris Doi Hoi Chi, she is an excellent researcher who obtained her doctorate degree in Hiroshima University, Japan on 2013 and master degree from University Technology Malaysia 2009, Bachelor of Architecture University Technology Malaysia 2005, and Diploma Architecture University Technology Malaysia on 2002. She is a senior lecturer in the Department of Architecture, Faculty of Built Environment and Surveying, University Technology Malaysia UTM. And if you are interested with her, you have any questions or you want to ask for advice, maybe you can contact her by email. This is her email. And she holds professional certificates as graduate architect with LAM. I'm not sure what is LAM. Maybe she can explain it later. From Board of Architect Malaysia. And here is her scopus. I searched this last night and I found she has H index 6 with total documents 22, with total citation is 324. It's amazing. And for Associate Professor Bayu Ariwibawa, he is Bachelor of Architecture Engineering obtained in 1995 from Universitas Diponegoro Undip, and master also in architecture engineering on 2005 at same university. And he's now the head of architecture department Universitas PGRI Semarang since 2014. And also he is a professional architect AA and EIE since 1996, green building expert JP since last year. He holds professional certificates from EIE, Indonesian Architect, also ASEAN Architect AA, Green Ship Professional JP from Green Building Council Indonesia GPCI. And he very active in many organizations that he writes here only three. Secretary of EIE, Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia, Ethics Council of Ikindo, Board of Strategic Study of Ikindo also in Central Java. Okay. Then I will remind you for the participants, we will come questions from participants before we begin. Yeah. After this, Dr. Doris will give her talk. Questions from participant, you can write just your question in the chat room, your name, your institution, and to whom you want to ask and your question. You can also ask the speakers directly, use the raise hand option, then we will unmute your microphone. You can freely ask by English or Bahasa, and anything is okay. But just don't use any other language because I don't know maybe how to translate it. Okay, we have here already Dr. Doris. Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Are you ready for your talk today?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone, we will welcome Dr. Doris. Dr. Doris, the time is yours.
Yes, good morning to everyone. And first of all, thank you very much for having me as part of your international webinar series. So yeah, let me start to share my screen. Is it okay? Hello.
Not yet.
Yeah, okay. Let me try it again.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you just have to make it full screen.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So yeah. Once again, it's my pleasure and honor to be part of your great international webinar series. Thank you very much to our moderator Mega, and I am also see our other speaker who is Pak Bayu, Head of Department of Architecture. So, and also Dr. Irna, thank you very much for having me here. So in this morning, I would like to present about green building in new normal life. So in fact, we are having this online session is also part of our new normal life. So Mega has kindly introduced me just now. So let me just give a bit more explanation. Yeah, I'm a senior lecturer in architecture at University Technology Malaysia for more than 10 years. And I hold a Doctor of Engineering degree, graduated from Hiroshima University. I am actually proud to be a Hitachi scholar. And actually, there are many Indonesians who are Hitachi scholars who are very kind and friendly people whom I meet while in Japan. And I also received the Certificate of International Environmental Leadership for the Global Environmental Leaders GELS Education Program for Designing a Low Carbon Society while in Japan. Yeah, so I'm a graduate architect, and LAM actually stands for Lembaga Architect Malaysia, which in English translation is Board of Architects Malaysia. Besides that, I'm also a registered conservator with the National Heritage Department in Malaysia. And my research areas are in the field of environmental sustainability, heritage, and conservation in the built environment. So here is our presentation contents for today. We will go into the key concepts of the main title itself with the two main keywords, which is green building and new normal. And then I will move on to look into their relation in terms of the impacts and directions. And I think both are relations give us an emphasis on a human life or a people. So according to the World Green Building Council, a green building is a building that in its design, construction, or operation reduces or eliminates negative impacts and can create positive impacts on our climate and natural environment. And I think the second point is also very important. Green buildings preserve precious natural resources and improve our quality of life. At the end of this presentation, we will see that actually quality of life shall be an integral part of green building. So now if we are asked to name a green building, what building comes to your mind first? The World Green Building Council also outlines what are the features of green building, and they are summarized here. I think the first few points up to here, we are very familiar with it, which include the efficient use of energy, water, and other resources. We can use renewable energy such as solar energy. And I would like to extend here that actually the use of renewable energy from solar energy actually covers everything. Including if we naturally ventilate our building, we are actually using the wind power freely. And the wind is actually generated from the sun. And next, pollution and waste reduction measures and the enabling of reuse and recycling. And the third feature is good indoor environmental air quality. Next, use of materials that are non-toxic, ethical, and sustainable. consideration of the environment in design, construction, and operation. So in terms of the current pandemic of COVID-19 that we are facing, probably air quality, because the virus contaminants actually might spread, and the use of water, because we emphasize hand washing a lot these days, are pretty much directly related. But other green building features actually include consideration of the quality of life of occupants in the design, construction, and operation. And also it calls for a design that enables adaptation to a changing environment. So this point is very much appropriate and something very essential today. On this slide, we can see the picture on the left is something very interesting. It's actually the cover of a book, The Living House and Anthropology of Architecture in Southeast Asia. And actually this picture is a traditional house of Indonesia. So I would like to point out from here is that actually the way of life of local people since the past has actually portrayed the features of green building. For example, the use of materials, how it is very much in harmony with the environment, how the people actually know their way of life and they build according to it. And in this photo itself is very interesting because they are moving a house probably to adapt to a better environment. While the figure on the right is in the Philippines, and it shows some children, they look like playing, but actually they are preparing the soil material which can become a building material to build their house. So needless to say, this portrays or in line with some of the green building features as explained in the previous slide. Now, I would like to highlight further from the World Green Building Council the key concepts of green building. The World Green Building Council actually says that any building can be a green building. However, it is worth noting that not all green buildings are and need to be the same. So it means that green buildings are actually diverse, and diversity is actually a part of our richness of our world actually. Different countries and regions have a variety of characteristics such as distinctive climatic conditions, unique cultures and traditions, diverse building types and ages, or wide-ranging environmental, economic, and social priorities, all of which shape their approach to green building. Following from here, may I derive that context and vernacular, meaning native, become very important reference then. So here is a world map which shows the Köppen-Geiger climate classification. As we are probably quite familiar, we belong to this tropical belt. Our area is here, and we are actually under the type of tropical climate, which comprise tropical rainforest, tropical monsoon, and tropical savanna. So in total, the Köppen-Geiger climate classification divides the world climate into 5 major types. And it would be wise if when we are looking for design reference or architectural reference, then we look for those within the same climate type because we share the similar climate characteristics. Here is another world map, and this one shows the global culture regions and areas in relation to building traditions. So again, it shows diversity in our culture and maps out the regions. For example, we actually are in the Australia and Oceania region, and there could be subtypes of culture within this region itself. So actually, if we take the 2 major influencing factors, which is climate and culture, we can actually see an outcome of a very rich architecture form, especially in the vernacular or traditional buildings. And here, for example, let me start. This is a current building. This is the Menara Mesin Niaga designed by Malaysian architect Ken Yang in Kuala Lumpur. So this is a green building which includes architect Ken Yang's bioclimatic skyscraper philosophy. But I just put one example of modern building. The rest are actually traditional or very vernacular building. And we can see that if we go through one by one, actually they have features of the green building. And so they are all very diverse, very different, because they meet the climatic needs and also the cultural or social needs of the local people. And from here, we can actually see that besides the diversity in the architecture, the time span is also actually timeless. So we can say that green building actually is not new. Next, let's move on to understand a little bit about pandemic. A pandemic is an epidemic of an infectious disease that has spread across a large region. For example, multiple continents or worldwide, affecting a substantial number of people. Very key or important characteristic of it is that it is a rapid spread and within a short period of time. That's why it caused a lot of concern to people. And throughout human history, there have been a number of pandemics such as the plague, cholera, and influenza, and smallpox, which actually this kind of pandemic or disease has happened many times, and others like measles, leprosy, malaria, yellow fever, and so on, just to name a few. So just like green building is not new, pandemic also is not new, and it has given quite deadly impact because it caused high numbers of death. It leads people or humans to question themselves, but in the end, it can actually bring about some positive changes. So here is a specific example, which is the Spanish flu, which occurs in 1918 to 1920. And currently we are facing with the pandemic of COVID-19. So the occurrence of COVID-19 actually lead to our current day new normal life. So what does it mean? Having a new normal life basically means that we have to adapt to fundamental shifts to our way of life. So for example, in Malaysia, we practice 3W and 3C. 3W meaning that wash or hand wash, that means wear a face mask, and then warn, which means that keep ourselves alert to warnings given out by the government or authorities. And then we have to prevent ourselves from 3C, which includes crowded place, confined space, and close conversation. So besides that, we have to practice social distancing and queuing in public areas. For example, at entrances before we can enter into a building. So this practice could be quite occurring in many countries today. And besides that, we are experiencing a prolonged indoor living. In fact, actually modern way of living give us or make us stay a lot indoors, but under today's new normal life, actually our indoor living time is actually prolonged. For example, we are working and studying from home, and we also have more and prolonged online tasks. And another aspect could be no or less interstate and overseas travel, and then not seeing loved ones and no visits from loved ones. There could be other aspects of life that has changed, but here are the more common ones or important ones. And to sum up, they are affecting or changing our personal hygiene, our social activities, physical health, as well as mental health. At the same time that we are faced with the COVID-19, we shall not forget that actually there are ongoing world challenges. For example, climate change, and also to house billions of people in culturally and environmentally sustainable ways. It is estimated that vernacular dwellings constitute about 90% of the world's total housing stock. Then if people are staying a lot indoors or at homes, and we are very concerned that actually disease and climate change do not recognize boundary, then it is actually very essential to support vernacular building traditions and assist local buildings in terms of sanitation and disaster preparedness. For example, in the photo at the bottom here, nearly 1 in 4 deaths across the globe are due to environmental factors, and the low and middle income countries bear the greatest share of environmental disease according to the World Health Organization. We can see clearly that under such conditions or living environments, it is actually quite difficult to practice, for example, good hygiene or social distancing and so on. Next, I would like to draw our attention to the fact that actually putting people first in green buildings or the aspect of social sustainability should not be neglected. Here I show 2 examples from the book Built to Meet Needs by Paul Oliver. So in the first example, example A, it shows the Jabo village in Lahore, Pakistan, while example B is in Anatolia, Turkey. Now, both of these are housings or dwellings, and both of them are actually rebuilt houses after the place faced a disaster. However, in the example A, the village was rebuilt back to its original form, while in example B, the new village or new houses were well planned, formal architecture and design in a formal way. However, a major difference is that in example B, although the new houses were completed, it remains uninhabited post-disaster houses. The households who were victims of the disaster actually refused to move into these new houses, although they were given these houses. Now, the question why? It's simply because these houses could not meet the needs of the households, while in the example A, the inhabitants could meet their cultural needs as before. Let's move on to the second part, which is very important. Now we will look into the relation between green and new normal. The United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres said in his message that nature is sending us a clear message. We are harming the natural world to our own detriment. With the population doubling over the past 50 years and the global economy growing fourfold over the same period, the delicate balance of nature has been disrupted, creating ideal conditions for pathogens, such as COVID-19 to spread. This was a message given on the World Environment Day this year. Meanwhile, the UN Environment Programme Chief Inger Andersen stated that healthy people and a healthy planet is part and parcel of the same continuum. Therefore, a question of green building is not a question of whether we need green buildings or not, or how much or how many green buildings do we need, but it is rather a question is how shall we approach or realize to make the green building. In other words, it is about what direction we are going and whether we have the directions for everyone or every kind of building. Following the way of new normal life, a very major impact is actually a question of healthy living environments. So, for example, green buildings, actually just like the green building features outlined before, a very important feature would be having a hygiene environment and also access to water or clean water. And the next point is to have clean air and sufficient ventilation, for example, for the purpose of contaminants removal. And another point would be about giving comfort to occupants because we are staying indoor for prolonged periods. So here I take the point of importance of ventilation and I give two examples here. The first one is actually a very old architecture about 500 years ago, which is in Hyderabad, Pakistan. And it is actually, although it is low-rise small buildings, but the environment is actually quite a high-density building. And we can see a very common feature, which is significant in this picture. It shows the wind catcher that every house have. And the wind catcher actually all face to the same direction, which is facing to the wind direction. So isn't our earlier generations very wise when they know the wind direction and they capture it into their buildings? While the second example is quite a recent one, it is an outcome of the SARS in Hong Kong, and a Professor Edward Ng, he proposed some policy and technical guidelines for the Air Ventilation Assessment or AVA of Hong Kong. As we know, this is the skyline of Hong Kong. It comprises 30 to over 80 stories of high-rise buildings in a very high density layout. So to get a good ventilation inside the building, then the outdoor wind environment also has to be good. So this is a paper which relook into, for example, this is a diagram showing the major breezeway, minor breezeway, and the air path that needs to flow and should not be blocked by buildings. Next, another impact on our healthy living environment is actually to have and to make sure that we have green and open spaces to get a dialogue with the nature due to effects of prolonged indoor living on mental health, such as anxiety, attacks, and fear. As we might or might not be aware, but there are actually people, for example, elderly generations, they actually face such effects of anxiety, attacks, and fear as an outcome of the COVID-19 pandemic. So it is pretty much known that green and open spaces can have a positive impact to our healthy life, not only in terms of physical health, but also psychology or mental health. So this leads to the importance of indoor-outdoor relationship in our building spaces. And for us in the tropical climate, actually this has been part of our way of life since our forefathers' time. We live very much in well connection with our outdoor environment. If we look at our forefathers' houses, for example. And in other words, this indoor-outdoor relationship in buildings actually can be enhanced a lot if we have transitional spaces. And under the new normal life, transitional spaces can be used to give way for social distancing and flexibility in use. For example, today we have to queue before we enter our building, and we actually have experience when the building have the entrance just right without any porch or a roof cover, then actually we have to queue at the outside under the hot sun. But if we have such traditional spaces, we have a flexible space that can cater for such needs. And this is an example of a veranda in a colonial building in Seremban, Malaysia. While this is a courtyard, so a porch or veranda or serambi or courtyard, or there are many types of transitional spaces in Southeast Asian architecture. So actually all of these can help to support us have access to the outdoor, which actually give us can improve our performance as well as improve our mental health. And this is an example of our research study in the old traditional shop house in the heritage area of Malacca in Malaysia. This is a courtyard, small courtyard, and in this example, the ventilation inside the shop house is actually well circulated thanks to having the two small courtyards. And the building form here is actually very narrow and in a low-rise, high-density planning, but it is not high-rise, it is low-rise. And then, so the access to external window is actually only at the front narrow, which is a very few. So it is helped by the courtyard. And besides that, just like many shop houses in Malaysia, we have the veranda space, or in Malaysia, we also call it the kaki lima or 5-foot walkway. There are also other impacts at larger scale. For example, now we could be, or we might be concerned with proximity to supply chains and workplace from home, and also security in any emergency. For example, our access to food and so on. And another impact is reverse migration, whereby many urbanites actually relocate to hometowns and leave behind the congested, more risky mega cities. So, in the end, what are the possible post-COVID green directions? If we recall back the presentation just now, then green is for everyone, and going back to nature is fundamental. Then local approaches become important. And this is in line with the having the important reference to context, which comprise our climate and culture, and also vernacular precedence could be important reference. So, and as in the previous slide, reverse migration is occurring these days. Instead of people moving to the urban areas, people are actually moving back to their hometown. So it actually widens our opportunity for sustainable development of small towns, or it could be big and small buildings in big towns or big cities. So in other words, what it means here is that actually every building, everyone shall have a chance to be a green building and to have a good quality of life in their living environment, especially to get a healthy living environment. And from here, we can make this a model of sustainable architecture in Southeast Asia and the world. So last but not least, let me introduce a project, which is a Tegal Experimental House. This project is led by my doctoral supervisor, Associate Professor Dr. Tetsu Kubota from Hiroshima University. And the location is in Tegal, which might be of interest to Universitas PJRI Semarang, your university, because if what I know, it could be quite close. So you can actually have easy access, make a visit to this house. So this is a look of the experimental house, and the idea is actually to develop a low carbon affordable apartments, or what we call the Rusunami and Rusunawa. Am I right? Okay. In the hot, humid climate of Indonesia towards Paris Agreement 2030. So it incorporates traditional way of natural ventilation together with new knowledge and into modern living environment, and also affordable or low and middle income housing. So this is an example. There could be other examples. So to conclude and recap the contents of this presentation, green building is not new. Any building can be green building, and green buildings need not be the same, though they share the same green features, as explained or referenced by the World Green Building Council. In light of new normal life, every building should be a green building. And green buildings need to put people first, whereby social and environmental sustainability have to come together. And because green building is not new, then the question is, how shall we approach to make green buildings? Here, context and vernacular precedence becomes very important reference. And major impacts from COVID-19 are to consider healthy living environments and going back to nature. The post-COVID direction broadens opportunity for green buildings of small towns in a humble way. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, and further discussion or questions are welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Doris. You can stop your screen sharing. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, by the way, I just the time I might have taken a longer time.
It's okay because it's a very interesting talk. And I want to ask you many questions actually, but later we will. Okay, thank you. We will face to the next speakers. But before that, I want to remind the participants you can ask questions directly to the speakers by using the raise hand option, or you can just write your questions in the live chat, either in the Zoom or in YouTube application. Yeah, where are you from? And from university, which university, what's your name, what university, and then to whom you want to ask, and then your questions. So I think everyone here, the speakers also wait for your question to share, Maybe later also Dr. Doris can share about the system education in University Technology Malaysia so that we can get insight maybe. Yeah. Okay, next we will go to the next speaker, Pak Bayu, Assistant Professor Bayu Ariwibawa from Department of Architecture, Universitas PGRI Semarang, Indonesia. Hello, Pak Bayu.
Hello, Miss Mega.
Okay, okay. Are you ready for your talk?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, Pak Bayu, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you. I need to share my presentation. Please wait. Thank you, Miss Mega, and special thank Miss Doris too from UTM, building and related with COVID-19. Very interested material. You talk about vernacular, traditional, related in now condition gitu ya. Thank you very much. And now in this time I will talk about COVID, but we especially talk about indoor air quality in of course in modern building. Miss Mega, you can see my slides?
Yeah, I can see it well. You just have to make it full screen. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, thank you. I will talk about healthy building in new area, special indoor air quality. The first time in the last month in Jakarta, in Indonesia, and several cities in Indonesia, we have a new issue about increasing of suffer of COVID-19. There are a new cluster in office building. There is a very interesting after transition era from new to new normal. We have increasing suffering COVID in office, public government area. This is about all activity people done in the building, in the room. This is a new issue. We can see see about 90% over gitu ya. People work from home, from office. That's in a room, in the building. If we talk about global green building, we have a main issue about global warming. This is about impact of carbon dioxide in this earth. They make increase of what temperature, and that call is greenhouse effect. The impact of the global warming, we can see many things: melting a glacier on pole, rise sea level, appearance, increasing hurricane disaster, and its other. But now I will talk about a new disease, especially about COVID-19. This is one of impact of global warming, I think. This is Ebola. We can see every on 2015, SARS, MERS, and now COVID-19. This is related with higher of a temperature. We can see in last century, in last decade, about in 20th century, this is a figure of high temperature in several time ago, and we can see in this decade from 20th century, the temperature is increased very high. This is in the right line, we can see. So if this is appear in since 1980 until now, the temperature is increases growing up. From 90 and 80, growing up is very faster and very higher. We can see in this century, 20th century. Beside of that, we can see the increasing, this is in the same time, about 1995, in this last decade, the carbon dioxide is increased too. We can look relationship without the increase of a temperature with increase of carbon dioxide on the atmosphere. This effect, before the sunlight from the sun over the atmosphere can cross and enter into the earth, and several sunlight can reflect it to outside. But with added greenhouse effect, several sunlight that can through to the outside and reflect back to the earth. This is make earth warm more and more time. If we talk about contribution of carbon dioxide in the year of temperature, the industrial is over here. It's relative small. The second is transportation sector. The first, the higher contribution is from the buildings. From this figure, we can see about contribution building to high temperature of Earth. So, what is green building? This is a green building. Yes, maybe, but could be then not accurately true. Green building, actually, we talk about three things. The first time about natural resources, energy, and material. And the second is environmental impact. Let's talk about site, waste, and other. And the third, we talk about indoor air comfort. There are three kinds. The first time is indoor air quality, comfort, and noise level. Now, in this time, I will talk about indoor air quality. Trend of building green building in the world. Actually, in Indonesian, there are several times. The early of green building issue, we talk about smart building, how the lighting can turn off automatically by sunlight, and then next step to intelligent building with bus building automatic system. So we develop to green building, and next to high performer building. Let's talk about building performer, and next we talk about healthy building. This is very important thing, more than just a high performance of building. This aspect we can see in this area about COVID-19, and then we talk about net zero building. Healthy building, better place for people. This is a global project that aims to create world in which buildings are not only good for environment, but also support a healthier, happier, and more productive life in the room. in the building. We don't talk about environment. We now edit to talk about productive life, happy and healthy for all people use the building. And next, net zero carbon building. This is now we want with from green building we can to decrease of carbon dioxide to the earth. So we hope all people they can to decrease increasing of decrease higher temperature of earth. So we talk about now air quality in health building, and we talk about I want to talk to related with virus COVID-19. This is a bacteria, and this is a virus. We can separate it to about the dimension. The bacteria is too small, about 1,000 nanometer, but the virus is 20 until 400 nanometer. This is too small, more small versus the bacteria. How spread the COVID-19? We have said the COVID spread from spread through droplets and aerosol from the survivors, virus carriers, and they through the nose, mouth, eyes, and other. The COVID-19 not spread through airborne. This is an important thing, but we can spread through the droplet and aerosol. Droplet and aerosol can release when we sneezing, bersin gitu ya, kemudian coughing and normal kita bernafas normal gitu. This is we sneezing. We can see in the every particle throughout from our mouth, and so we can separate it in several parts. The first time we can this is aerosol with the dimension is lower than 10 nanometers. At the last dimension, this upper 0.1 nanometer, and this is make a long distance with difference. The droplet can spread to until 6 meter, but the other materials sneezing with speed more than 50 meters per second. We can see about 2 meter distance. So droplet from sneezing and coughing can spread into two part that is lower than 10 micron. We call that aerosol, but the particle more than 10 micron we call the droplet. The aerosol, the dimension about under 10 micron, they in around the surface about 2 meters to can stay on the air about 3 hours. This is a very important thing. So we need a physical distance about 2 meters. Now we do it, and we use a mesh. So the bigger particle that called the droplet, they can falling down in the floor, table, chair, door handle, pencil, and other. So for the plastic surface, stainless steel, that can stay and live until 72 hours. So in this droplet, we need to wash hands, change clothes, and take a shower, maintain cleanliness, and other. This is about several journal I reference. Aerosol can last up 3 hours. The particle virus in our can live about 3 hours. On the standard, this is a visualization. I think it's not important. So the other journal can talk about the direct contact between human and contaminated object through droplet. From droplet, we can see about evidence. In Australia recommended, we use closing the building, mall, meeting building, mall, museum, cinema, and other that must be closed because very dangerous. Depend the direct contact between human. So for the building, we need to continue operating. Yeah, the building then operate like a hospital, like office, service, public. We need more disinfectant, clean frequency use surface. We have provide more sanitizer, so we can bring drinking from the home. And the building they use in this era, we need more open window to entering much outside air as possible to the room, to the building. This is this is talk about concentration decrease of virus on the air. This is important to decrease the virus to eliminate of infect to other people. We can use the portable air cleaner with HEPA filter. So the last 2 person without clinical symptom, asymptomatic. This is happened 3 years. The people since introduce that virus entered into the bladder. This is can pass the disease on the people other too. So we need to use mask, surgical mask, non-surgical mask for public people. So this is happen. We need to several action to COVID-19. The first time you can see this month ago territorial lockdown. So extra personal hygiene, individual protection, and physical distancing. Because the people more than 90% take that time indoor in the building. We talk about a healthy building. We need to healthy building this condition. The first about I think this same. The element of indoor environment quality. We talk about anything like a sound quality, lighting, comfort, thermal comfort, air quality, outdoor air quality. Now I will talk about air quality and outdoor air quality. They say maybe we talk about comfort quality, thermal comfort quality too. This is exposed inside in the building. In the room, in the building, there are many things. Entry have many pollutant to the air, to the water, to the surface, to the. This time we talk about pollutant to the air quality in the room. To improve indoor air quality, we can there are 5 factors that cause the people to get sick. Then the first is dose. This is about concentration of virus. Site to virulence, time, level of defense people. So we will talk about concentration virus on the air to this discussion. In the room, in building, we need to make to decrease the concentration of virus. We need to air change per hour. Air change is the number air change that occur in the space. This is need to obtain the thermal comfort, warmer, humidity, and need to replace from the outside fresh air by cooler or drier. The need for air change, this is for space function, people density, humidity, and air temperature. So we can talk about air pollution, how we can decrease the virus in the room, the building. But first, the air change per hour, this is to dissolve this, to clean substance, virus on the air in the room. The second, eliminate odor that are in the room. So the third is to supply new oxygen. This is we'll talk about decrease the virus in the air. We can calculate how many fresh air to introduce our room. From this formula, we have a standard of air change per hour. This is a formula where we can see in the office building, we need about 6. This is a standard in normal era, but in the new normal, in the COVID, we need more than several. I've talk about 2 times from the standard. In restaurant, we need about 6 to 4. In the lavatory, we can more than about 10 meter cubic in hour. This is a standard for air movement. This is for people walking, meeting, toilet, and other. This is a standard from each people. So if we have 10 people in the room, we can use this standard from these people. Okay. Next, this is the other, and then to decrease the concentration virus in the room, we can use the first time about natural ventilation. This is Ms. Doris talk a lot about this. Thank you. So there are many kind to make ventilation. This is from the one side of building. We can see the fresh air enter in the room, and the air from the room get throughout. This is cross ventilation. We have more than one opening when window on the side of room, side of building. So this is more effective than the first side from the single side. We can see. So the stack ventilation like this is more help to decrease the virus in the room. This is a flaw. This is a concept of cross ventilation. So, but the natural ventilation, we can depend on the airspeed, on the environment, the surrounding the building. So if the the surround of building is lower, that this is can actually happen. So we can use exhaust fan to support the movement. We can do implementation to wall on the ceiling like this to support supply air fresh from the outside building to inside building. We can choose, we can calculate the needs, the volume from the room, depend on people, total people in the room. So we can choose what the type, what the flow capacity of its exhaust fan. But in this era, we don't use the fan like this because the equipment can help to circulation fresh air from the outside. This is just make a movement air stay stuck on the room. So this is not recommended to COVID-19. So, and the second we talk about HVAC, we talk about air condition in the room. This is a important thing because now what happened now, people more activity in the building, but they use air conditioning. This is type of air condition. This is a split system. We can see this is a wall type. This usually for office or home. In my home too. This is a wall unit. This is a cassette unit. This passing implement in ceiling. This is on the floor or ceiling. This is a console unit. This is detectable. There are many things. This is we talk about one by one. This is a single split without machine. This is several. This is a most type air condition used in the world. We have inside atau FCU in the room, then in the condenser the outside room. This is no air fresh introduced to the room. No, nothing. This is just circulates air on the room. This is very dangerous to COVID area. So we need to introduce by open, by add exhaust fan and other. This is a silent tap. The type, several type. We have use entering air fresh from the outdoor to indoor. This is good for COVID-19. So this is a ceiling cassette. This is have air fresh flash too from the out, but actually in Indonesia in my campus this air fresh not implemented. This is a duct type, ductable. This is used from air fresh too. So for many higher, larger building, they use a central air system. So we can use opening the window or use exhaust fan. We need more equipment because we have a thermal standard in ASRI. So the temperature level about 24 until 25, the humidity about 55, so the airspeed in here. So to make thermal comfort, we can use only in-house fan, because if we use air fresh from the outside, they have a more temperature, so more humidity. So this is a hot and humid in Indonesian. The AC unit must the bigger about 25% the capacity and the consumption of energy. This is a very problem to cost and operational of building. From the thermal control, we use if you use a conventional AC, we use from the outside fresh air about more than 70% humidity. This is need more power input and consumption of system air condition in this building. So in this case, we need to DOA system, dedicate outside air system. This is added equipment to introduce fresh air to the room, because we need to maintain fresh air, with fresh air with the high temperature and humidity. We can filtering the first time filtering. We can use HEPA filter, so the virus with the bacteria lower than 5 nanometer cannot introduce to the room. And then we can cooling coil. This is to adjust humidity. So, and then this is FCU. So the air supply from the fresh to the room, they have a lower temperature and a lower humidity. This is important thing to decrease the concentration of virus in the room. This is purpose of DOAS, improve the indoor air quality, adjust humidity, decrease the level of carbon dioxide, reduce level VOC. So the 5 thing, this is a dissolvance of virus or bacteria. Now with this, with DOAS, we can save energy using VHAC in the building. So this is several type we can to improve air quality in this new era. We can add the DOAS system to the room, to the building. That's just a sported system for building. This is the yellow. This is a refrigerant. This is a DOAS system in the blue line. That's it. This is machines. So this is a very complex, like so the budget is higher too. So actually this is need for a bigger building, higher building. This is. I think that's Ms. Mega. Time is enough. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Bayu. Yeah, a very interesting talk for both of you, Dr. Doris and Professor Bayu Ariwibawa. Well, I don't think we have a question yet, but I really want to ask many questions. Actually, I really interest in architecture and its collaboration with another multidiscipline field. Wait a moment. Okay. Yeah, probably we will wait for questions from the participants. Once again, I announce that the participants can ask questions directly to the speakers by using the raise hand option, or you can just write your questions in the live chat room, both in Zoom or in YouTube. Then I will deliver it to the speakers. Okay, maybe during waiting for the questions from the participants, I want to ask questions first to Dr. Doris. Yeah, Dr. Doris. Okay, okay. In Indonesia, we have so many dense population housing. Yeah, like we call it as rusunawa or rumah padat penduduk. I don't know in Malaysia, do you have it or not, but it's still become a big problem in Indonesia, especially in the big city like Jakarta or Semarang. We have so many dense populated area like that. So they are having problem in poverty. They have small houses, but so crowded. So crowded, they have so many people there, and parents, children, or their other families. Then I want to ask you, what is the best design to their house or the playing ground? As you know, in the during the pandemic COVID, people are working from home since, yeah, March 2020. And then I really wonder, how do people do their daily life? Like they don't have to go to school, or they rarely go to office. Just in needed time, they will go to office or in school. So my question is, when people are spending mostly of the time in their house, in their living environment, what kind of design for the housing, for the playing ground, or the recreation area? So you know that during the pandemic, we also still doing recreation as well, to just play or just release the stress level. Okay, Dr. Doris, please.
All right. I think this is a very important question, but I might not have a very good answer here from my side. Well, yes, to be honest, personally, I haven't done research about Indonesia, but I have Indonesian classmates while I was doing my doctoral research in Japan. And my doctoral supervisor, Dr. Tetsu Kubota, I think he is very familiar with Indonesian situation, as he has taken many Indonesian students and also done a lot of research there. So the one that I showed just now about the Tegal Rusunami experimental house is his current project, and I think it's under the SATREPS project, so we can say it's a very big project. Well, if I learn from there and take Kubota Sensei's work as a reference, then maybe yes, the change might not be very abrupt. We cannot totally change the housing type, but it is more of taking some steps where we can adapt. For example, in the experimental house I showed just now, there will be some opening designs, small opening designs, and also under the floor slabs there are some phase change material for the radiant cooling of the slab. So we have, for me, and it's also part of my doctoral study, we have also done that, whereby we took reference from traditional buildings. We learn how it functions, for example, the thermal function, and then we learn the techniques and we put it into our modern housing. So in Malaysia, it is more of a terrace house, which is also packly arranged in a packed dense manner, but this a low story on the land. So the Rusunami, I believe, is more of an apartment building type. So yes, maybe some of the measures we have to take is actually sanitization, like hand sanitizer, for recreational areas where children go to the park and play. So of course the handrails or the surface that we touch, yes, I think for the moment we still have to do that. But if there are actually a lot of green can help, because trees actually can help to clean the air, and also it helps a lot in many ways. It gives us many health benefits as well. So yes, I don't really have a very good answer on how or what we can do when we stay at home a lot in tsunami, and then how we can do. Yes, I understand, because we need the space. For example, if we have a few children and everyone attends the online school at the same time, then even computers we need one for each child. Then we need the space, we need the facility, good internet, and so on. So actually it's a, yes, it's a high time that we think about all these things and how we can be in harmony with the nature. We respect the earth, the resources, and what we can learn from the past. If we take all these things, when we put in the new technology, I think probably this is the things, important things that we need to think about. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Maybe Pak Bayu can add more things related to my curiosity, Pak Bayu. How do you think, Pak Bayu, for the Rusunawa, Rusunami, or in Malaysia called Rusunami, right?
No,
Rusunami is what? What is Rusunami?
No, I learned from the Indonesian language.
Ah, I see. I see. I thought in Malaysia it's called Rusunami, so it's not.
Yeah, we call it apartment or rumah pangsa. Rumah pangsa actually means flat. It's usually the apartments without lift.
I see. I see.
So for the high class one, they call it the condominium.
A condominium. Okay, just we have Rusunawa, but not the executive one. It's just low budget apartment.
Yes,
Low
yes.
budget apartment. So we call it Rusunawa.
It's very important to house the public.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Pak Bayu. Pak Bayu, how do you think, Pak Bayu?
Okay, this Rusunami is a government program actually in Indonesian. There are separated Rusunami, rumah susun milik, Rusunawa, rumah susun sewa, gitu ya. That's several times. In this flat or this apartment actually designed for poor people. Actually, it is so the standard is more small. Yeah, I think that is that the low budget and but this tsunami to relate kids, the poor people, they no have a house to new room to live. For Miss Doris, in my campus we have two building with called Rusunawi that but student. So my student. I think that's Miss Mega.
Okay, Pak Bayu, just now your internet connection is not so stable, so I can't really hear well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Okay,
I'm
anyway,
sorry.
yeah. I just hear until in our campus. What do you say after that?
There are a question in the chat room,
Yes,
Bu Mega.
yes,
You can.
yes. There is from Agus Kurniawan Politeknik Admi. Admi ya ini ya. Admi Surakarta. Okay, thank you Pak Agus Kurniawan. He has questions about how about the joglo of traditional house of Jawa. The joglo house is good air supply, right? Pak Bayu, please.
Ah, yes. This. If we talk about traditional or vernacular building, special for Joglo, they have a more circulation air, more wind flow to the room, all the room, I think, yeah. So this traditional building make the concentration of virus on the room is decreased very well, I think. Yeah. So this is a good building, yeah, I think, because more air flow from the door, window, and the roof. They can entering air fresh from the outside the building. I think that's very good, and many kind of building like traditional Indonesia. That's very implemented to this pandemic COVID. I think that's very good traditional, and we can learn from this building to implement with in new building now.
Okay, is that imply that the most important factor to the architecture in the housing is air circulation, Pak Bayu?
Yeah,
Is that right?
this is more important to decrease the concentration of virus in the air with air change that we can decrease the concentration with introduce fresh air from the outside to the building. So the air in the room must to throughout the surrounding of the building.
I see. Okay.
There are a question.
Yes.
At 10:20 from
Yeah.
saya Dio Ramadana. You can read.
Oh
Miss
yeah.
Mega.
10:30 a.m. Yeah. From Dio Ramadana, ITATS. I will read the question. Anyway, thank you Pak Dio ya atau Bu Dio Ramadana, Bapak ya. Saya Dio Ramadana, Institut Teknologi Aditama Surabaya. Pertanyaan untuk Bapak Bayu, untuk saat ini penggunaan AC sangat tidak efektif karena pertukaran udara tidak terjadi di dalam ruangan dan solusinya adalah penggunaan exhaust fan untuk menarik udara ruangan keluar dan digantikan udara yang baru. Apakah AC dan exhaust fan bisa berjalan bersamaan? Apakah suhu ruangan bisa dingin? Okay. Dr. Doris, are you following the questions? Can
Yes, it's
okay.
all right. Yes.
So you understand I speak in Bahasa, right?
I can.
Okay.
I might.
So the question is for Pak Bayu. Actually, Dio Ramadana asking whether the air conditioner and exhaust fan can be work and can be used together. And how about the room temperature? Can it be cool or not? Okay, Pak Bayu, please.
Okay, thank you for Miss Ramadana. Actually, several type of air condition in the building. The like a single split system that's a simple system. They don't use air fresh introduce the room. So this is very dangerous in this pandemic COVID. But the several type like central system, cassette selling system, they actually they have air fresh intake to the room actually, but most usually as air condition split type maybe not recommended for this system because no fresh air introduced to the room, so the concentrates of virus in the room will be increased more and more time. If we talk about to edit a Heckhouse file to the system, so this make the temperature more higher and the humidity more higher too. This is for decrease the thermal comfort for the people. Actually, the several experts talk about if we use in the same time the air conditioning system with a house system, we need 2 or 3 times capacity of air condition. So this impact is more power and lower of efficiency in energy. So these fans, house fans, actually can apply to support the cross ventilation in natural circulation. So I think like that. So if we use exhaust fan in single split air condition, so will decrease the thermal comfort for the user in the building. So in the last my presentation, now we have a DOA system dedicated outdoor air system. So we add that more than just an exhaust fan to direct air in the room to the outside. This dual system is introduce fresh air from the outside to the building, but we can make a maintenance. We can filtering. We can just humidity, and so this is not to impact about the thermal comfort in the room. That is, but the budget of course for the higher, more higher from the house fan. That's Bu Mega. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Bayu. Okay, this one I have one comment from Pak Sony Pratomo Unaja. As I know, not only carbon dioxide impact to global warming. Yeah, you're correct. Actually, the global warming caused by many things, but mainly, Pak Bayu said that it caused by carbon dioxide level. But actually, there are any other pollutants like N2O, nitrogen oxide, and many other things. But you know that the global warming process, it means that due to the increased level of heat temperature in the globe, then it calls as greenhouse effect. Actually, when the sunlight comes down and then it absorbed by the atmosphere, some of the heat are bounce to the air, but some are absorbed to the surface of this earth. But normally this radiation would escape to space, but this pollutant, which can last for years to centuries in the atmosphere, trap the heat and cause the planet to get hotter. That's what known as the greenhouse effect. But so actually you're correct. Not only carbon dioxide affects the global warming. Okay, next is the question for Dr. Doris from Ibu Ratri Septiana Saraswati. Yeah, It's very interesting. How Malaysia prepare room for worship, especially church, for the new normal heritage building in Europe or England era. We know that we have to preserve the originality. Okay, Dr. Daris?
Yes, thank you for the question from Ibu Ratri. Yeah?
Yes.
But, I'm not very sure. Is the question referring to heritage building, right?
Yes. Heritage building like in the church.
Like in the church.
Like the old one.
Yeah.
Europe style or England.
Basically, during the in Malaysia, we call it the MCO, Movement Control Order. Basically, at that time, everyone just stays at home. But recently, in the recent few months, since July, we can start to have gatherings within a limited number. So I think for the act of social activities such as worship and so on, yeah, as long as we follow all the rules and the procedures, then we can carry out, and I guess that is fine. But in terms of heritage building and preservation, yes, I think today it is all the more important to preserve our heritage, do a proper conservation works, including for church or any other heritage building. So actually, can I add something? Is preserving or conservation actually helps us to take care of our existing building stock, because all buildings are already there. And so whatever resources or materials that's already been consumed, we can continue to use it and we do not waste them. You see, if we continue to conserve and use it properly, then that is a very good way for sustainable development as well. So if the building built by timber or bricks or any materials, then we can save on the materials itself, that we call it the embodied energy has already been locked in the old buildings. So it's actually a very good way. But today, because our focus is so much on the new normal, on the pandemic itself, sometimes we start to forget about heritage buildings. Like many of the UNESCO heritage sites have been closed down because some of them are museums, and worldwide they are closed down because of social distancing and so on. Then it would be quite a pity if those buildings cannot survive. Yeah. So I think if I take this question in a more general perspective, it covers for all types of heritage building. Yes, I think it is all the more important to do the preservation of the originality properly. And this is actually not from me, but from UNESCO. UNESCO stated it, yes. So yeah, thank you. And for previous questions that Pak Bayu has addressed, basically I agree to your answer both previously. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think that answered the question from Ibu Ratri. Then I still curious in many things actually. Pak Bayu, can we do discussion a little bit? Maybe, like currently there are trends in the architecture, like in housing, especially in Indonesia. I don't know in Malaysia, right? About aquapodium. Aquapodium use moss, lumut dan tanaman air untuk akuarium ya, aquarium or pond, kolam. How about this thing? Is it disturbing the new normal life in architecture, or it will be good for designing or the air conditioning? I really curious, is it healthy for our air circulation in housing, or it will be not useful during this pandemic, of course?
Okay, the important thing is the pandemic COVID era. We talk about concentration of virus in the air. So everything they can make a increasing of humidity and temperature. They more non recommended to this design. But several things like vegetation. So in this is I think that's no problem if the air circulation, air movement in the room, the air change from the outside to the inside of building is continue is enough. I think that's no problem. That's the important thing is how to decrease of humidity and how many time volume of air in the room can change in an hour. I think that's important. That's the hand of water or vegetation. They just maybe make a increasing of humidity. But if you have airflow, air movement from the outside to inside, so I think that's no problem. I think like that, Miss Mega.
Is that means when the pond is outside of the house, then it will be fine, but it's when it is inside the house, then we have to check again. Is that what you mean?
Uh, I think the vegetation, the outside is important to make microclimates. So the air from the outside, if through the vegetation with the good microclimate, that's a lower temperature and more higher of humidity. So that's will help to maintain the thermal comfort in the air. So I think like that. If if you talk about if we try to introduce fresh air from the asset, the quality of outdoor air is very important. So we can make a microclimate change in the surrounding of my building with like a vegetation. So many things. So we actually the vegetation is very the best to make a change microclimate and surround a building because
Even even that the fact that when we have too many vegetation in our room, when it nights, it release carbon dioxide.
I think that's the vegetation actually is very good in the building, but we must to thinking about of the night the vegetation of produce carbon dioxide. Yeah, I think that's nothing important if you have airflow. We have air change in our, so that is very dangerous if we have a closed room with air system split single split system. So that's very dangerous actually in the night.
I see, I
I
see.
think that
Yeah, thank you, Pak Bayu. How about in Malaysia, Dr. Doris? Is that becoming trend in Malaysia about the aquapodium or aquaponic or called aquarium with many plantation there? Trend in Malaysia?
Uh, yes, we can see it, but I think the important point is we have to understand why it is done. Because in many cases, it is done purely for aesthetic. Just
Yeah.
for example, it becomes a marketing tool. If people sell their apartments or condominiums, the high-end units, they put such a green wall or some aqua pond thing in their sales gallery. It becomes a selling point. So yeah, I think on the other hand, the intention is very important. And then we cannot deny that having water elements, it increase our humidity because we are already in the hot, humid climate. Then any increase on the humidity, we might feel it. Yeah? But then it has other good benefits that maybe stronger than the humidity itself. So if we weigh the value between it, then actually it is worth it. I don't think the carbon dioxide uh, given out by plants at night is a big problem, or the humidity due to evapotranspiration rate from the plants is a problem. But we need to know how to tackle such a problem because, for example, if we have plants in the courtyard and courtyard is just next to our indoor space, then we can see probably the green moss will grow on the wall or on the floor because of the humidity. So if we are concerned, then we have to choose the right material. We have to know how to do the good maintenance. I think that is important. But if we understand the benefit, we will find a way for a solution.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
important.
yeah. It's very interesting actually because in Indonesia, many people now growing their hobbies to do plantation in house, inside or outside, and start growing catfish like that. Yeah.
ID as a hobby is not a problem, and we relate to the comment here from Ibu Ratri.
Yeah.
Yeah, she mentioned about the traditional wooden house. So if we cover the traditional timber houses with carpet or vinyl, then I think yes, we might think again because originally the wooden surface wouldn't have any problem. But once we cover it with the carpet or vinyl, the carpet itself actually is a place for contaminants to stick there and stay there. And if the moisture is high in the carpet area, I think it becomes a problem. And then another thing is because timber structures are actually porosity to the air, meaning that there are small gaps that air can flow through. But once we cover it with the carpet or vinyl materials, it becomes fully opaque or solid. So it reduces the natural airflow that originally could flow through the timber structure. Because a timber construction, every piece of timber, usually there's a joint gap. So I think that is a very good suggestion.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, it's 11 now. I think it is enough for the discussion due to the limited time. I apologize. We couldn't accommodate all of the questions here, but actually the discussion is very challenging, yeah, for both me and I think the speakers as well. If some of you still wondering about something, you can still ask the speakers privately by email. I already show you their email address. And then before we end this webinar, let us take photos together. I'll request all of the participants to turn on your camera. There are 4 screens here. Mona, can you help me to take photos, please? Okay, for the first screen, Bu Widya, turn on your camera, please. Bu Ratri, position, look at the camera, and Mona will take the picture of us. Oke, there's Pak Doni juga. Pak Karsoni juga ada. Oke, Mona. Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Look at the camera. Okay, the second screen. Oh, but it's mostly turn off their camera, Pak Bayu ini. They are our student, I think. It's okay. It's okay, Mona. Nggak apa-apa. Just take the picture. For third screen and fourth screen as well. Okay, finish, Mona? Yeah. Thank you, Mona. And great. We have reached the end of this webinar, me, myself, and all of the committee. Thank you for your very kind attention, very kind cooperation. Thank you also for our great speaker, excellent talk, Dr. Doris and Pak Bayu. Thank you very much. And then once again, don't forget, we hope to see you in the next webinar on Monday, 31st August at 1 p.m. So I'm Megan Novita. I'm from Universitas PGRI Semarang. Let me end this webinar. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much to the host and the host university. And nice to meet Pak Bayu, the head of department. And also thank you to all students for attending. I think this is a very great job of an international webinar series. It's my pleasure to be part of it.
Thank you, Dr. Doris. If you are still interested with this webinar, you can join us again next week, right?
Yeah,
bring your students. And maybe next time we can do another webinar series as UTM as the host. And Pak Bayu may be the speakers there, or me, or some of our lecturer. Okay, Dr. Doris, I will see you soon again. And keep in touch. Thank you. I will end this meeting, Pak Bayu. Thank you.
Very well organized. Thank you.
Bu Ratri, Bu Widya, Pak Karsoni, Pak Doni, thank you.